Hello, everyone. We're here live on Zoom and on Facebook with my really good friend, Wendy Laidlaw, who I am so happy to be a part of your summit, Wendy, which is coming up, the Ultimate Emotional Health Summit. So welcome to our Facebook Zoom Live. I am so happy to have you here.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. And I love the work that you do and your audience. So it's an absolute joy. We're so aligned in what we do anyway, helping support and lift women up, so it's awesome.
Exactly. And likewise, I absolutely love your work and have always followed and supported your work, which is why I'm so thrilled to be a part of your summit. And so for those in my audience and community that don't know you, can you just introduce yourself and just give us a quick, I know you could talk for hours about your journey, but if you could give us a quick overview of your journey and your work and why this led to the summit and its focus.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I guess my journey starts about 6 years ago when I ended up chronically bedridden for about 2.5 years after my endometriosis had just flared up, and I'd had 6 surgeries, and the doctors pretty much, I'm giving you a very short version of all of this, but I ended up bedridden for 2.5 years when the medical field kind of failed me and washed their hands of me. So I was stuck between a rock and a hard place. I had multiple health conditions, endometriosis, adenomyosis, chronic fatigue syndrome, mitochondrial dysfunction, thyroid issues, you name it, I had it. And I was almost near total organ failure at one stage and really questioning whether or not life was worth living, that kind of dark night of the soul. And to cut a very long story short, I'd cut my finger this one day, and even though I was chronically bedridden and disabled, I was barely able to walk or even crawl at this point. I noticed that my finger was healing, and it kind of occurred to me, well, if my finger is healing, why are my insides not healing? Why am I getting sicker and sicker and sicker? So I retrained from my bed in nutritional therapy and psychotherapy and psychology and counseling. And I just started to keep a journal of what was happening, how my body was responding to certain, what I call the 5 Ps. Produce, which is food, products, property, people, and past. And I really started to kind of really pay a bit more attention in a way through my journaling, and started to notice that literally within about sort of 7 to 8 months, my endometriosis symptoms had disappeared. Like I was pain-free, and I had suffered for 33 years at this point. And then literally over a period of time, I was starting to really kind of pay attention to kind of what was coming in on and around my body, how certain people made me feel, how certain situations made me feel, whether it made me feel stressed or made me feel inadequate or inferior, or I felt anxious, and really started to kind of, through the act of journaling just by itself, really started to notice a lot more. People talk about being non-reactive and responsive to things, respond to things rather than react to things. I was always so reacting. I was always so sensitive. I was always feeling I was upset and stressed. But through the act of journaling, I realized actually I got a lot of information. It started to help regulate my emotions. It started to help me give more information behind my feelings, recognizing my emotions were messengers. So long story short, I wrote my book in 2015 and to help, called Heal Endometriosis Naturally. It gave women a step-by-step guide of what worked for me and my story. And then I started to get women reaching out and saying they needed more help and support. And then that's where my business kind of grew. But as my business has evolved, I'm not only just helping women with endometriosis, I'm also helping entrepreneurs, online entrepreneurs, develop their business. I'm also helping other people now, just from any background, really get in touch with their emotional health. I think we get physical health, we get mental health, but actually we don't appreciate emotional health. And what I mean by emotional health is becoming comfortable with our feelings and our emotions, and recognizing the messages behind them, and being the observer of them. It sounds a lot easier than it is when we start out, but actually I've developed tools and what I call the Laidlaw protocols to really help anyone now start to empower themselves, be inspired and empowered by these tools, to help them become comfortable with their emotions, help them can even be aware of them to start with, then become comfortable with them, connect with them, and then what I refer to as embracing your emotions. So you can embrace your emotions, understand. I mean, we have over at least 180 different emotion and names to emotions. Can you believe that? Whereas I think we all grow up going, I either have to be, I'm either happy or sad. There's kind of all these unpleasant feelings that we have, and we don't know what to do with them. For me, I think the reason I ended up bedridden was I was a workaholic. I didn't know that there was a lot of family struggles that I thought I took on the blame for, that I really felt was my fault. And of course, I learned to kind of recognize what was my issues and what were other people's issues, and separate from them and not make myself ill from them. So this is where again, what I offer is a shortcut version to alleviating a lot of suffering and pain, emotional pain, by information and education ultimately. Because if we don't know what we don't know, and the idea behind this summit and having you on, because obviously following on from your own beautiful summit and the work that you do, is a lot of people misunderstand kind of just how relationships can affect you physically, emotionally, spiritually. And the idea behind the summit is, as I say, this is my second emotional health summit now, is just to help kind of educate people more, increase their awareness, make it normalize what is normal. Emotions are a normal, healthy, sane reaction to an insane world, and if we can learn to become more connected to that, and even just become curious of it, even if we're just more curious of it, then what that curiosity then can lead to kind of more kind of being comfortable, and then and connection to self, because we are powerless over other people and other places and other things, but a lot of us don't recognize our own power. So the idea behind the summit was to get people like yourself in, sharing your journey, sharing your successes, what works for you. And also, if people do join the summit, they can watch it for free, which is awesome, or they can get lifetime access and join a 21-day challenge that I have straight after the summit.
Yes,
and the idea behind that is just excites me so much, because it's going to be an Unblock Your Blocks 21-day challenge. And I think I said to you this before, we're all the same. We get all this information sometimes and this education, but we don't quite know how to implement it or where to start. And I've made it my mission now to help free as many millions of people as I can before I leave this planet, just with these very simple, beautiful tools, but also in a very safe and supportive environment. Because sometimes we just need that bit of encouragement to get started and do little ant-sized steps along the way, so we get feelings of win and we don't freak ourselves out.
I love that you call them ant-sized steps, even smaller than baby steps.
Yes. Oh, baby's too big. I think when you've got emotional turmoil, or you're feeling anxious, or you're depressed, or you're worried, or you get into these cycles, we all seek change and fear change in equal measure. So how do we embrace change? We do it in very small incremental steps, because then that feedback loop is, oh, actually I can do that, and it wasn't too scary. It might have been a little bit out my comfort zone, but if I just keep making these, that was my journey. I was such a scaredy most of my life. I was terrified to make moves forward.
Well, and this is where I love that you share your story, Wendy, because it really shows the reality of how important our emotional health is, that it can be so dangerous to actually lead to physical poor health. Absolutely. And this is where, again, where you said we share our stories and our journey to give what we do strength. And I was exactly the same at my lowest point when I was experiencing my own family estrangement and family struggles. My physical health was suffering. And I think, and this goes back to one of my favorite books being, now the author escapes me, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. I think it was Dale Carnegie, or written back in the 50s. And yet we still don't give weight and importance to this reality that our emotional health can impact our physical health. And that's where I love that your work stems from healing yourself from such a really, really serious place of poor physical health to addressing your emotional health and strength and healing. And that's where I love your work and I love your summit, because it really focuses on, like you said, being aware of our emotions, addressing our emotions, normalizing our emotions, and having that feed into giving us strength and physical health and all the things that are healthy in life. So
well, thank you. I mean, and I think what is sad is what happens generally in mainstream medicine is you're given a tablet to dull your feelings or dull your emotions. And we get to the point where I used to be accused of being so sensitive to everything, and so oh, you're always so sensitive. And I'm like, but I am sensitive. And what's wrong with being a sensitive human and, picking up on all these different feelings and energies and emotions. But a lot of the time I didn't know what to do with them, and I got overwhelmed by them, and they became scary to me. They became frightening. So I would become a workaholic and I would busy myself. And some people will find distractions to numb themselves from busy states of mind. And what we do through, for example, I mean, through the summit, people will learn from fantastic speakers, which they, as I said, they can do for free, just how they've gone through their own journey and the tools that they've discovered. But also if people are like, okay, I'm ready for change, but I'm scared, how do I make even that tiny thing? That you'll learn tools that will help your brain, that are based on, or science-based tools. So it's a science-based methodology. It's not weird, wacky, or woo-woo. It is, very supportive and structured in a way that just helps the brain. You're retraining the brain to manage the mind. And then also with the brain body connection, understand, like, you were saying you got very ill because we tend to numb out. We're not taught at school that feelings and emotions are okay. We're not taught by our religion. We're not taught by society. We're not taught by our family because they don't know. So we tend to store these things. They get blocked. And that's why it's unblock your blocks, because we can really start to and we do it very, very slowly and very gently. But we build and build and build. And it's amazing. It's a testament to the people that I worked with before, the confidence and the courage they build from themselves, this insight, intuition, inner wisdom, whatever you want to call it. It's there. Everybody has the answers to everything that they have questions about, but they don't know how to tap into that beautiful inner instincts that they have. And that's what this summit's about, is about emotional health, normalizing feelings and emotions. It doesn't make you weird or overly sensitive, or there's something wrong with you. You're not a robot, you're a human, and then it's what to do with the feelings and emotions as they come up, and get comfortable with them and hear what the messages are behind them.
Fantastic, which is so important, because like you said, we often wait till it's too late. Where our society is structured so that we know to go to the doctor or go to the hospital, or like you said, take medication, but it starts way sooner than that. And that's where your summit is so important, in realizing the seriousness of addressing our emotions before it gets to that stage where we have to go to the doctor, or where physically we're suffering from poor health. And there again, that's why I love your journey, because especially in this community of family estrangement and struggles, it's often an area that you've lived with for years, or it's a long-term struggle. And that's where I love your story, because you lived with your health issues for so long. So that place of having that weight in your life, and then healing from that. And like you said, just taking ant-sized steps to address your emotions and shift everything, or focus on your internal health as well, and how that can easily shift.
Absolutely. And I think family struggles, and this yourself, are more commonplace than people realize. It just, some people don't have a name to put to what's going on, or maybe feel ashamed that it's happening to them, and they stay in the shadows and they think it's just me, and they feel isolated. So I think learning to have a relationship with ourselves is sometimes the biggest challenge. And then from that relationship with ourselves, then we can understand probably bigger dynamics. But again, it's recognizing that you're not alone in it, because I think a lot of people feel that way. So it's marvelous the work that you're doing in the space that you've created to allow people to have dialogue. But then you have all these emotions and all these feelings, and then society says you shouldn't be feeling that way, or you why are you feeling? And then you have anxiety, and then you have stress, and you feel burnout and overwhelmed, and then you start questioning, what is life all about? And I think, as you say, is exactly the idea of emotional health is to really embrace the core of who you are in a way, because most of us have, or I know I didn't like myself before. I was very critical, very harsh, very judgmental. And I beat myself up mentally all the time, which of course isn't helpful either. But I now recognize the why. I understand why I was doing that. It was parts of me wanting to protect myself from, what had happened in the past, or from other people. And again, the whole idea of emotional health is just to recognize you're a human being, and the emotional states that you will move through, they will pass. But equally, if it feels overwhelming, it might be because when you were younger, you were just, a little you were more of a sensory being. You didn't have language, so you didn't know what labels to put on which feelings and things as well. So it's a beautiful process, because it really just, I use the phrase AIEIE, increase awareness of your emotions. Then you get the information education about your emotions, you get the inspiration to keep going, because obviously you start any new journey, you know, you want that support of people that really get you and understand you, and all of that leads to empowerment. And that is what it's all about, because that then leads to opening up of doors and a wider understanding of
Yes.
yourself and others.
Yes. And that's why I was also so excited to support your summit, because obviously in the area of family estrangement and struggles, it's not easily talked about.
No.
Certainly it's not, I still believe that it's not readily accepted enough in
Yeah,
society.
I
So
agree.
people don't feel that they can talk about it openly. So that is something that I believe to be a huge health struggle with family estrangement and struggles, is that we internalize our emotions. So that's where, again, your work is so important in really letting people know that this is a starting step for healing, is really letting your emotions out, facing them, being aware of them,
Yeah.
recognizing them, and like you said, normalizing them.
Absolutely. And as you say, this is the first step, because I think, you know, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with that first step. And sometimes just recognizing we need to take a step forward, but we're scared. I mean, I was scared the whole way on my journey, which is why, you know, the summits and the things that I create are all designed around safety, gently being challenged, but really coming into, you know, being supported and understanding that we get you, but we also I believe in every person's ability to, you know, they have so much spirit and soul and purpose. And most of us are shrouded in fear and scared of upsetting toxic people, perhaps, that have been in our lives. You know, we've just learned to stay quiet and in the shadows, in shame, you know, shame into the shadows. And exactly. So it's a first step into just recognizing it's okay to be upset. It's okay to have the feelings that you do, even if they do feel a bit overwhelming at times. And actually, with the right tools and the right environment, like planting a seed, you put a seed in good, nutritious soil with water and sunlight, it will grow. You try and stop that seed from growing, it grows. And again, it might be fragile to start with, but again, given the right environment, it grows stronger and stronger. And it's the same with the beautiful community that you've created, and the same with myself. You know, we understand the fragility of the human spirit, but also the strength. Give it the right environment to grow, and it grows, and you just don't know what you're capable of. And I know your own story, you know, and who would have thought we'd be here now doing what we're doing now?
Exactly right, Wendy. And this is where, just in keeping with what you said, touching on our community, I know you've shared with me, and this is where I'd love for you to share this with my Facebook group and community as well, because it's just so wonderful to offer support and solidarity. And you shared with me that within your own community, you've been amazed at how there has been a growing voice from your audience sharing with you their experiences with struggles within the family and relationship conflict. And you've been yourself have been becoming aware of how this is a reality in the lives of many.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm my next book, which is called Embracing Emotions, Empathy and Energy. This book's going to be coming out in the next couple of months, you know, which is designed to kind of help a self-help guide to emotional mastery. I explain a lot more about, I mean, I think we're all under the same influences. We're all under the same conditioning. We all get the same messages, which is we're all supposed to have this amazingly lovely, happy family that's shiny. It's 2.4 kids and the car in the driveway and the dog. And we're in a Purcell advert, you know, we're all supposed to be shiny, happy and smiley. That's not reality. That's what Hollywood feeds us, and that's what, you know, Disneyland feeds us. So yeah, so again, I'm aware with my community, the women I've been working with, and a lot of estrangement, a lot of mistreatment, a lot of, you know, bullying, confusion, you know, a whole lot of mismatch. My own story was, I didn't know my family was dysfunctional. I thought the dysfunction was normal. And it wasn't till I learned, you know, more about myself. I connected to myself. I understood what was happening, because our instincts are very strong. We have 100 million neurons down our intestinal tract. Did you know that? Our cat in its head has the same number of neurons down in its head as we have down our tract. When you hear, they'll say, listen to your gut. What is your gut instincts telling you? So the whole essence of, and this is why my work has evolved and expanded, because I recognize, you know, the dis-ease and the disharmony that was showing up in the body that really reflected the environment of people round about who can be incredibly toxic. I mean, some toxic people should have government health warnings stamped on their forehead, tattooed on their forehead, like they cause serious physical and emotional destruction. So it's very commonplace, and I love that you're creating this community and talking about it, because it normalizes, you know, what feels abnormal and feels shameful. And my I mean, I had two very toxic parents, so it was really hard to kind of get a measure and to get a balance and to get rooted anywhere, but I had to learn to get rooted back into myself.
Exactly.
And that's what I learned, is that I think the sad but enlightening, the oxymoron of my journey was, the sadness was no one was going to rescue me, no one was going to help me. At the same time, I was there for myself, to support myself, and then I could go and help others do the same thing. Because it's lovely when you got a community of people who understand their own strength, and that just takes time. You know, you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
And if you've been given a lot of negative, or toxic people have attacked you or shamed you or blamed you, if you're a sensitive person, you take that on as real. But it's not real. You know, sensitive people hurt or more wounded, but you know that degree of sensitivity is a reflection of the beauty that lies inside, but you've probably had to shield that to protect your heart and your soul from the pain.
That's so beautiful and so true.
Yeah, and that's what I'm doing here, you know, is just trying to help people say that pain, you're not meant to suffer. You know, I remember thinking, have I done something horrible in a former life that I'm being punished now? Am I meant to suffer my whole life?
So true. We're so hard on ourselves. And in keeping with that, and finding that inner strength and emotional well-being and mindset. Now, I know on your summit, obviously, I know what I'm talking about. I'll be addressing emotional awareness and the importance of self-love and self-compassion and facing our emotions and really working with them to gain emotional strength. But can you share with us just a few other quick highlights of some topics and areas that other speakers will be addressing in regards to that same journey and mindset and positive strength? And
yeah, absolutely. And I love that you're talking on my summit, because I think it's so important. And I really mean that, because it's very important that these messages get out, you know, to the wider public. But we've got a lovely cross section of people, from Justin Stevens, who talks about he's a master at failing. He keeps failing fast and forward, and then that keeps leads to success. We've got Jackie from Israel, who's all about female empowerment from a physical perspective, which is really nice. Like her approach is very refreshing. I felt like, oh, I didn't know that it was okay to think that way or to feel that way. And it's all about empowerment for women, and again, really addressing our thoughts and feelings as well as the physical. We've got Dr. Kim Jobst, who was asked by the Clinton administration in the White House in the late 1990s to draw up a paper on diseases of meaning. One of his papers is about, Mother Teresa says, the greatest sickness in our society is not cancer or tuberculosis, or that is actually loneliness and suffering from separation. And actually that separation starts from self and then not from others. So he talks about diseases of meaning. And again, he was asked by the Dalai Lama to go and speak at events. We've got Dr. Sarah Myhill, who's a pioneer in recognizing again, you know, the brain-body connection and how well that works. We've got Dr. Aura from America, and she's talking about, she's wonderful. She's very vivacious, gorgeous woman, and she's like, you know, they get naked, get down to the core of who you are. And it's so kind of, she's been a chiropractor for 30 odd years and understands again how things show up in different ways. So it's all about inspiration and empowerment, fully surrounding emotions. We've got Norman Chen as well. He's obviously a Buddhist monk, you know, with Vipassana. We've got so many brilliant speakers.
Wendy, it's going to be fantastic. And in keeping with what you just touched on as far as you know, loneliness and a place that we can be in that's of such despair, not only is that so true in a lot of our issues and definitely in family struggles, but also your summit is so perfectly timed, because we've all just come through the pandemic. We've all been existing in isolation, where a lot of these feelings are just emphasized and we've, you know, all felt more overwhelmed and alone. And so this is where, again, your summit is just such perfect timing in not only addressing the issues that we need help in, but at a time when we really need this. So I'm beyond excited about your summit, and it's just going to be amazing. I'm so happy to be talking on it, and everyone you've got lined up, and it's just going to be wonderful.
Oh, well,
Absolutely.
thank you. I mean, this is my second summit. I did one in October and one, and you know how much work, you know, we just to reassure, when we don't do this for money. This is pure love. I mean, oh my goodness, like 800 hours worth of work, whatever, but it's worth it because, you know, just to empower people, inspire people into recognizing the power that they have within themselves, and know that everything you've ever thought, any worst thought, the most heaviest, darkest thought that you've had, everybody's had them, but it's okay. You can learn to befriend them, comfort them, reassure them, and embrace them, and understand the messages behind them. And that really leads to a lot of wisdom and strength and guidance for, and I believe everybody's struggle is a kind of a training for their future purpose. So everything that you've been through, everything I've been through, we couldn't do what we're doing now had we not gone through that. And I believe whatever anyone is going through right now, no matter how traumatic and awful, as it's awful in its awful form, you're being prepared for your beautiful purpose up ahead. And this is why, again, I do the summit and I do these things in this way, so that you can learn what genius you have waiting to be tapped into. You may not even remotely feel like that right now, but I promise it's there. And this is why, again, the 21-day challenge, you know, is a ridiculously low early bird price, so that I can incentivize you along with the other speakers' bonuses as well. I think people have offered over £3,000 worth of bonuses to say, join the 21 challenge and get lifetime access, so that you can at least just feel what it feels like not to feel alone, feel what it feels like to take that tiny incremental step to kind of tap it. Because I think everybody knows it somewhere, but it's drowned out by all the pressure and noise. There's just so much pressure and noise out there, isn't there?
Exactly.
And sometimes you just need that thin thread, that little chink of light to say, just, you know.
Yes, that guiding hand to reach down to you and just help you take the next step and pull you along the way. And it's so true. And in keeping with that, my biggest, you know, obviously our use of words is so important. And in keeping with what you just said, I try to remind people that it's not surviving trauma, but it's a transformation. Because like you said, we do live through that, and we're like butterflies, you know, out of the cocoon, we become this amazing, more strong and enlightened person. And so from that despair, from that struggle, we really can grow and transform. And that's where, like you said, your summit and the 21-day challenge, which I've signed up to, by the way.
I know, it's
because
exciting.
I'm so excited. I love your work, and I love the concept of ant steps, something we can all do, and we can all keep on our journey. I mean, I don't think it ever ends. I think, you know, life is hard, like you said. It's
life is tough, and I love hearing you say that, because, you know, life is tough. But I think if we can, as you say, beautifully say, is if we can say, what if life is happening for you? All this pain and suffering. I mean, I love these analogies, like diamonds are lumps of coal put out thousands and thousands of years of pressure. And yes, of course, it's okay to feel like I can't handle this anymore. Of course, it's okay to feel like if you're testing me, God, please, I've had enough. You know, I don't want, it's okay to feel down and sad and unhappy and angry. It's okay. But just know that you do have that spark in you that is preparing you, I believe, for your purpose up the pathway. And you know, that's our role, our work, isn't it? Is to help people recognize there is a light. And it might feel a lot of dark, but there is a light, and just keep focused on that light, because it does get easier.
Exactly. And that's why I love your work, Wendy. It's just absolutely wonderful, because it's healing, it's empowering, it's enlightening, it's uplifting. It's absolutely wonderful. So I am so thrilled about your summit. Now, it starts on April the 12th.
This coming Monday, yes.
And we've got links everywhere, so people can click those to register. And just quickly, they just need to sign up. They'll be guided through the registration. They'll be shared the information for the 21-day challenge, to be informed about that. And then everything else you take care of.
Absolutely, yeah. So they can watch it for free. If you don't want to commit to anything other than that, that's absolutely fine. Obviously, I will be encouraging you throughout the 3 days free to join the 21 challenge only. And as I say, I make nothing on this because this is what this is important to me. It's just has a beyond. I have so many hundreds of testimonials from my own 21-day challenge to do with my endometriosis women that I thought this is so powerful. This is so good. Taking the essence, I have to share this. So, you know, it's all about just getting you a sense and a taste. So obviously I will be encouraging, but yeah, join the 21 the summit, and that's 3 days for free. And obviously I will be encouraging you to join the 20, but it will never be at this low cost. It's only at £37, and it'll be going up to 97 once the summit starts. So jump in. I even offer a money back guarantee. That's how confident I am. They can try it for 7 days, and if you don't like it, I will give you your money back. That's how confident I am that to be part of a progressive group of people as well who are all the same. And I keep just to reassure you and your audience, I keep things super safe. If I get a whiff of anyone who's toxic, I give them their money back and they're out. So I'm very, very, very strict on my boundaries because I know how toxic people can. You know, all you need is one rotten egg in the basket, as they say, and it just creates an atmosphere. So again, it's all about, you know, creating a safe place. But we want progress, we want movement, and we want to do so in gently, loving little steps along the way.
Wonderful. Well, like I said, I've known of your work and I've been a fan of it for a long time. So I know that it works. I know that your work is so needed. So I'm thrilled to be a part of your summit, and I'm so thrilled for everyone to watch and partake in your summit. And like I said, we've got a link on our Facebook page. I'll keep sharing that with everyone. And Wendy, I could talk to you for hours, but I'll let you go. And I will see you on the summit. So
I will see you on the summit, and thank you for being part of it, because you're a beautiful soul, and I love the work that you do, and it's so aligned with what I do. So it's wonderful to be on this journey with you.
Exactly. Well, here's to all of our health and all of our healing journeys. And thank you for everything you're doing. And truly, I look forward to seeing you on the summit.
Okay. Thanks, Yasmin.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you. Bye-bye. See you soon.
Bye.